하도록 하겠습니다.
It's very exciting for me to come to Korea for the first time, and I was very surprised and pleased that there were that many people at the airport to say hello when I arrived, and really looking forward to this conversation with you all. 새해 복 많이 받으세요.
네, 새해로 해주시길 부탁드리겠습니다. 자, 그러면 첫 번째.
You know, the Water Diviner covers many different subjects, really, but it's about the universality of grief. You know, here it is, Australia and New Zealand, essentially forced into a war because of their connections to England. Forced to go to war against a country that they had never had an angry word with. And the reality of that situation only started to dawn on people when the body bags started to come home. And, you know, ultimately in that First World War between 1914 and 1918, hundreds of thousands of young Australians lost their lives. And at that point in time, our population was very small. So the effect on the nation was gigantic. And it still resonates today.
가치관이 매우 중요한 것으로 알고 있는데 그런 가족에서의 저는 뉴질랜드에서 태어나서 4살 때 호주로 이민을 갔습니다.
You know, there's a lot about this film that I think that Koreans will connect to. You know, that situation that Australia and New Zealand were in, you know, having both been British colonies and at the time of the First World War only recently federated as independent countries, and feeling a familial obligation to go to war on behalf of Britain, as I said before, for reasons that weren't ours. It seems to me to have a similar sound to the situation that Korea found itself in the Second World War.
제가 감독을 하겠다라고 나선 것보다는 이 작품이 저를 선택을 한 것 같습니다.
유명 배우가 멜 깁슨이라는 배우가 한 30년 전.
You know, I spend a lot of time worrying about the fact that I'm away so much from them. You know, there was a period where they used to travel with me all the time, but my wife and I are no longer together, and that puts me in a situation where you know, I have to travel without them, and that's not an easy thing to do. But I understand. Look, there's a lot of people around the world that have the same thing, and they're not all necessarily in movies, you know. But the main thing is that, you know, I do my best on their behalf and try and create a life in which they can grow and be educated and become sort of, you know, rounded and creative young men, hopefully, you know, as time goes on. Yeah, family to me is of principal importance.
일단 그 러셀 크로우 씨 과거 영화 LA.
There is a book that's been very popular in Australia in the last little while called The Happiest Refugee by a Vietnamese man called An Do. And I'm currently in the middle of developing that story. It's about a Vietnamese family who get on a boat, on a 9-meter fishing boat, 36 people, and they travel from Vietnam to Australia in the hope of finding a better life.
감독이나 폭포 감독이나 수많은 다른